welcome to the stream. Please like and subscribe. Come on, Roy.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, we're extremely grateful to have Arash Pendari, the founder and creative director of Vionlabs, with us. Welcome, Arash.
Thank you so much, Roy. Great
Great
to
to
be
have
here.
you. All the way from Stockholm. Am I right?
That is correct. Stockholm, Sweden. Very close to
Nice.
the North Wall.
Nice. All right. Well, Arash, let's jump in. So, for anyone viewing this who may not yet know Vionlabs, how would you describe the company in a few sentences?
In a few sentences, I mean, we are a video AI company, but we come from a storytelling background. Like we're movie lovers, failed movie makers. What we always kind of believed in is to teach AI that understands storytelling, not just understanding what's going on in the frame. So that emotional aspect, the story arc, all of these parts have been very important for us. And what we actually do is that we solve very domain specific problems for different teams within the media industry. So instead of trying to have generic models that solves a little bit of everything, we have focused on making very specialized models that solves a very specific problem for a very specific team. So that's, I would say, in a very short sentence, kind of what we do for the media industry.
Okay. Okay. And digging into that, following up on that, so what oh, you said specific teams. So what problem in the media and entertainment industry were you trying to solve when Vion Labs was founded?
I mean, in the beginning, what was very important for us was to try to identify the overall mood of a content. Like I mentioned, understanding the emotional aspect of it. But as we kind of elaborated within that area, we understood that there's a foundational problem, as example, with metadata for search, discovery, recommendations. Like metadata is such a big part of everything in a streaming service. Everywhere it's showed from the UI to used in analytics and insights. So when you don't have strong data, it's very hard to do any of those tasks well. And we realize that there's definitely a flaw when people are doing that manually, especially where the AI models have developed and how good they are at understanding content and focusing on kind of training models to understand entertainment and doing that kind of moving into each type of content types slowly rather than just making one model that works for, news, TV shows, reality TV, movies, etc. We kind of slowly moved into each area, making sure the models really understood each of those in a specific way and tagging them for data points that actually make sense for the teams. Like the goal is to understand what is the team going to use the data for, and then try to create the data for that team rather than just trying to enrich with any type of data. Like I always say, does it make sense to tag up, chairs, tables, road, city, etc.? Depends on the team, right? If there's a post-production team, maybe they want to be able to see environments. If it's a recommendation and discovery team, they're definitely more interested in mood or the overall theme of it. So that's have been a lot of kind of our thinking and theory of how we should solve the problems. Now that's one area, but if you look at when we talk very domain specific, like we have a model that is just focusing on for detecting the intros, recap, and credits for TV shows. That's a very specific model, and that solves a very specific problem for the media operation teams that are doing that manually today. And I have a lot of other examples like that, but that is kind of the theory that we work with is make sure that the model is specialized in something.
Interesting, interesting, fascinating stuff. Um, now, now you've referred to the understanding storytelling, and your platform obviously is analyzing video, audio, dialogue. So why is that multimodal approach so important for what you do?
That's super important. I mean, if you look at something like moods that we're talking about, what happens if you remove the audio from a movie? Right? You lose a lot of sentiments. So the audio plays a big role together with the visuals. So those have to be in sync with each other, and you have to understand both of those layers. And when it comes to listening to the dialogue, that's of course important for topic heavy content like news, documentaries, talk shows, where the moods and sentiments doesn't play as a big role. So having those three layers plays an important role to be able to detect different things that are important for different areas. So I would say, yeah, definitely that.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. And now a little bit more, if you could, about how Vionlabs helps media companies unlock value from large content libraries.
I mean, most teams, what they're looking for, no matter if it's the intro markers, credit markers, or the metadata or scene level data, all of it is about indexing the content, right? Making it available for different teams. And I think that's, if you take the comparison, why was Google so successful with search? They indexed the whole world of internet. They understood exactly what each homepage is about. They indexed it in a way where it was easy to search. When you think about media libraries, it's the same thing. It's about unlocking that indexing down to a scene level, to a title level, to season episode level. Like, it really doesn't matter like what layers we're talking about. It's more about the granular details of information that you extract and for what team you do it for. And that indexing can be everywhere from like making things searchable for people that are internally trying to find, say the marketing team is looking for all the romantic scenes from all of the movies to make a reel for Valentine's Day. So they don't want to just use it from rom-coms. They want to get the romantic scenes from James Bond, from Mission Impossible. They wanted to get it from some comedies, from some, I mean, a variation of content to create an interesting reel that shows their full potential of their library for Valentine's Day as a campaign. So having those things searchable is important for the marketing team. Then you have a different problem for the editorial and creation team. That is, as an example, trying to make a list for Black History Month or Women's History Month. Like, how do they do that the easiest way? Especially with, if you look at like the available type of tags that are done in legacy systems today, you don't have any good, strong ways of indexing a full library to understand the plot of this content is definitely related to Black history. So how do we actually kind of get that in their hands? And I think that's the power of the new deep learning models, that you can really get them to understand content so deeply, so the accuracy of those type of things becomes very high. So you can search down to a scene level for the marketing team, or to title or episode level for the campaigning team or curation and editorial team.
Mm, mm. Really, really fascinating stuff.
Mm.
Now, one of the things, as I understand it, that you do is you can create or make markers for narrative aware ad breaks, so you can make that possible.
Yeah.
Obviously that, well, in North America, that's a hot topic, whether
Mhm.
streaming platforms are ad supported or subscription based. But yeah, you need to offer both in most cases. So could you explain a little bit more about how you do that, and then even more, how why it's important for content platforms and streaming platforms.
So I know you are interviewing me, but I'm going to turn the question back to you. How many times have you been annoyed that in the middle of a YouTube clip or a podcast, you get an advertisement that is in the middle of the sentence? That
Yeah,
throws you off, right?
way too many times for sure.
Way too
Yeah,
many. I
yeah.
mean, we did a big survey in the US with 3,500 people, where we're asking them about their ad experiences. And these were people that were consumers in an AVOD service. And it was very clear that the ad experience in general played a big role for them why they decided to stop watching something. You get ads coming up in bad moments, and you just get tired of it as a user because you have so many options. I mean, it makes no sense for you to be in a service that gives you a bad ad experience. So having a model that understands the story arc, the storytelling, can detect theme boundaries, can listen to the dialogue so it doesn't put it in the middle of the sentence, does a huge difference when it comes to the user experience. And why is that important? Because the longer they watch, the more ad impressions you get. So by the end of the day, the actual user experience is key, especially in an AVOD where users are not loyal as the same way they are for SVOD or some other services out there that you actually pay for. they have such an easy time leaving your service and go to another AVOD, right? So that I think is key when it comes to get your ad revenues up. And we have clearly seen this in A/B testings with our clients. We compared basically random logics, which random logic I would say is like you have a logic that if an asset is 30 minutes long, you need to ad break around every fifth minute as an example. That's your rule set. So if you just randomly put it every fifth minute, you're going to have a bad ad experience. But what if you have a model that lets you know, okay, if you skew that first ad break with 1 minute later and the second ad break 1 minute earlier, the user experience would be significantly improved for the user and they would stay and watch longer. And we could both see that on longer minutes watched, but also directly on the revenue stream that that client we did the A/B testing for. So it wasn't just like a far-fetched thing that they were hoping that, okay, by the end of the day, with retention and all of this, it would start driving better revenues. It actually had a direct effect when they A/B tested random logic versus the AI models. So I think that's key. Second, more important thing is people, I think, are sick and tired of just getting the same ads coming over and over again. And selling your ad inventory becomes hard because yeah, you don't have context. People are looking for brand safety. They want understanding of what their ads are being associated to. So we created that scene level information so you can understand both the mapping to IAB taxonomy, but also like what's the mood, what's the is there any nudity or profanity in the scene? What's the actual theme of the scene going in? So you can start kind of expanding your ad inventory and do much more targeting. So and also guarantee your advertisers certain level of brand safety.
That's yeah, yeah, amazing, amazing stuff. And Arash, could you speak a little bit to the measurable improvements that your customers have seen in any areas, but maybe in engagement and discovery?
It's depending on the product, of course. Like I mentioned, now this is a bigger client, so their revenue went up with 2.5% using ad breaks that I just mentioned versus random logic. So for that, for them, as they were an enterprise company, it had a significant change. And if you look at things like we create what we call preview clips, which is these type of clips that you can see when you hover on Netflix on a poster and the video starts playing on the top right corner. And we did an A/B test with a client that didn't have those type of clips. They were having usually static backgrounds and what I usually say, trying to sell video with still images. And it was very, very clear that when we A/B tested showing short clips versus just a background image, the actual amount of assets added to the watch list went up with 44%. That's huge for them. I mean, we're not talking about a small client. They have millions of users, and having that effect changes a lot. And the watching minutes per asset went up in the not just about the minutes, but the completion ratio, because the assets they found gave much more. I mean, if you look at preview clips, they give you a clear window into what you're going to consume. And I always say, like, consumers these days, they're not stupid. Like, you can't trick them with a poster that is like designed from the marketing team to say, oh, this is going to be an awesome movie, right? You have a lot of like, asylum movies. Like they tend to, copy Independence Day. You have that movie that is very well known. They do Independent Day, like a B version of that, and the poster looks exactly the same. They're trying to trick users to consume something. But those movies also have an audience. They just want to know like a small window to what they're going to consume. Those type of services drove, like I mentioned, 44% into the actual like people adding more to the watch list. That is huge when you look at kind of like how you get engagement in services. So I say transparency is the key definitely when it comes to consumers these days. That's why Netflix is not just showing the preview clips, but they're starting to use images and thumbnails from the actual content rather than design posters. Like seeing a small screen from the content shows you the production value, what type of style it has, mood. So those things are much more important these days rather than they were. I mean, when we grew up, me and you, those posters was key for us. We picked up the DVD, if you
Yeah,
remember.
Yeah.
But you looked at the front to pick up the DVD. But what got you to rent the DVD? You turned the DVD to the other side and you got those thumbnails that showed you 4 or 5 screens from the actual
Yeah.
movie,
Yeah.
right?
True.
So the behavior has always been there.
Yeah. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah. All right. And now for media companies to implement and integrate Vionlabs into their workflows and their infrastructure, how easy is that?
I mean, our onboardings usually, so to begin with and clarify, we're not a service where you upload your videos because that's quite challenging for the media industry. They have IPs, they have copyrights, they have content they haven't released yet that they need to analyze. So our service runs on premise within our customers' environments, which is very important. And onboarding like that takes maybe a week or two, depending on kind of what environments they have. We have prepared it both for AWS, Google, or any cloud service they have to spin those things up very easily with a Terraform script as an example, and supporting them in doing that onboarding. But we also do, like, we work with partners like CineSys and you guys that are helping us quite a lot with making those type of onboardings much easier for the clients. But as I mentioned, they work with IPs and important content. It's very important that they have a model they can run within their own environment, so the movies and TV series never needs to leave their on premises.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And Arash, there's so much discussion about AI in our industry, as you know, and so many discussions about how to use it, how not to use it. This seems like such a great use case for AI, and adds so much value. How how do you see AI transforming both the way audiences discover and experience video, but also generally, if you don't mind looking even on a bigger picture,
Mm.
how it's going to evolve in our industry. Um,
I mean, two areas of it. You have the Gen AI part of it that is there to help create more. And then there's the AI models that are just taking the content that you have and extracts things out of it. So if we start with the first part, one thing that foresee definitely, and it's all clear, like you just saw recently, Val Kilmer is coming back in a movie after his passing on. Great actor that I think
yeah,
like had great creativity with consent from his family. He's going to be in a new movie that were planned, of course, with him earlier.
yeah,
Uh, like, I think it's opening doors for kind of creating more content, and it's not just going to be Hollywood. I mean, I think it's around the corner. It's not in the first 12 months of this year, but definitely 2, 3 years down the road, you will have your anybody that is creative, like myself. I'm a failed movie maker, so I'm just waiting for the right tools to make an animation. I had these animation ideas for a long time since I grew up watching The Simpsons and all of that, and I'm just learning every day. Like, oh, I can start doing a lot of the animation, especially the lip syncing with AI. That took me weeks before to do.
yeah,
So opening those doors are going to get democratized, basically the power Hollywood have had for a very long time. So first of all, we will see an explosion of content. Secondly, we will see old content coming back, upscaling of old Charlie Chaplin movies, or
yeah,
like Peter Jackson's documentary he did about World War One, where he colorized it. Those
right,
things are going to become much more common. So a lot of old content will start floating back up and be reused because a lot of great content has been created already. So in other words, we're going to suddenly have an explosion of media out there. And that leads to the second problem. How do people start discovering all of this now? They're going to be on different streaming services. Like, what is a good movie? What fits me? What doesn't fit me? Like, you already have that problem today, and we're barely there yet.
yeah,
So, all of these assets are going to need great artwork that are personalized, like the right packaging for the right audience to get them to watch something that might be outside their comfort zone, but that they found out they really liked. That's what I usually call the perfect recommendations. Like, you get somebody to watch something they didn't expect they're going to like. Um, getting people, the foundational metadata so all the search engines can find what people are searching for. Getting the right data to make things more easier to find in analytics and insights when people are trying to find out what to produce more and how to produce better and so on. But in between there, I'll promise you, we're gonna have we're almost feeling that and seeing it on YouTube. In the beginning, you're gonna see a lot of bad content being created. Like
Really?
when people are just experimenting with seed dance, I have seen a lot of bad YouTube videos that you clearly see is AI. But that
Yeah.
era, I think, is gonna be gone shortly. And I think we have a very interesting future in front of us where we're going to start seeing remixes of TV shows that we see and love, but with a more modern take on it. We're going to see, maybe a alternative ending for movies that we always wish we had. We're going to see,
Right.
I think Ben Affleck said that, like seeing a version of Succession where, somebody else becomes the CEO in the family instead, right?
Yeah.
And I thought that was a great idea because that's definitely going to be also interesting area for AI to be used on. But
Yeah.
it's very interesting times to be alive, to be honest.
It sure is, and great answer, Arash. Really interesting. All right. And as we get close to our conclusion here, what excites you most about the next chapter for Vionlabs?
For Vionlabs, I mean, I would say definitely exploring new areas of content. Right now, we are focusing quite a lot on entertainment, TV shows, travel shows, reality TV, news, etc. We're definitely interested in seeing what other type of content areas that could be interesting to move into. Like I mentioned, just seeing all this kind of Gen AI moving in and having a lot of new content being produced and being able to work with that. So I would say in general, we're very curious and interested in specializing our models for new content and new types of content. We recently started working with a lot of Asian customers. And so we had to adapt our models to understand Korean dramas or understand the Asian animes because those productions are so different from Western content. So that requires us to fine tune our models to understand that. And as a content lover, I just love the kind of moving into those new areas and kind of breaking them down and understanding what is important to teach the model when it comes to this type of content.
Right.
So that
Yeah.
excites me a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And would you agree? I say this all the time, but in today's world, every company is now a media company, right? Every
Yeah.
company is creating media for whatever use, whether it's marketing or training or anything. But also now every person is becoming a filmmaker if they want to be as well. The tools, so it's a really exciting times.
Yeah, that makes me very happy
Yeah.
to see like everybody be able to create content and not being so dependent on education to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah, couldn't agree more. Yeah. All right. Now, if you could give one message to media companies struggling with content discoverability today, what would it be?
I mean, index your content. People are going to need to be able to find what they're looking for in your library. We met a lot of people that just have like a storage with video files that barely have titles and they need to figure out what it is. We have customers that just had genres. Like it's very hard to figure out what other type of content to buy or produce if you have like in your analytics tool a big bar that shows, yeah, drama is going well, but more or less 90% of our library is tagged as dramas. Like Game of Thrones is a drama if you look at the tags on IMDb as an example. So getting that understanding for your library actually brings you value from your library. So get to know your content and leverage AI for it because it's getting better than us humans. It never gets tired. That's the beauty of AI models.
Yeah.
Humans gets tired of, tagging things all the time and they start getting lazy and so on.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true. Very true. All
I
right.
mean, if I may add, can I add one last quote? I would say
Absolutely.
use AI to scale your creativity.
Mm,
Don't look at AI to automate the creativity. I mean, we truly believe that the AI is there to scale all that creative work, not to replace it. And that, I think, is key when you're trying to set your AI strategy.
Yeah, that's a great way of saying it. Gosh, thank you, Arash, for this time in your busy schedule and sharing your knowledge. All of us at CineSys are excited about our partnership with you and working with you. And of course, as you've just said, anybody watching, please reach out. We'd love to talk more about understanding and indexing and utilizing your content libraries.
For sure.
Uh,
Thank
all
you so
right.
much, Roy.
Okay. Thank you, and thanks for everyone watching.
Thank you, everyone.